Previously on Dances with Dice, when last we left our heroes, Finian, the halfling artificer, Felix, the human bard, and Theo, the satyr fighter. Our heroes had taken a job deep below one of the crypts of Zem, in the Middle Arcana district of Marishane. Our heroes engaged in pitched battle with restless spirits found beneath the crypt. With their victory in hand, what awaits our heroes this week on Dances with Dice?
All right. Well, welcome back, everybody. You guys find yourselves outside of the Temple of Zem within the Temple District. It's probably about still early-ish morning, probably no later than 10. Your pockets are heavier with 500 gold pieces each. The sunlight is kind of sprinkling and dappling through the trees of the forest district, or the temple district. And yeah, you guys have you still have another, I believe you have the rooms at the Dancing Elf for another evening. So you guys have the whole of the city to explore if you'd like. If there's any bits of research you'd like to pursue, you've got some money now, any shopping you'd like to do. Really, the day is kind of yours because Vonnie and Braneth had both spoken that they had said it'd be a couple of days before anyone at the Brotherhood would be able to, be 3 days before anyone at the Brotherhood would be able to meet with you. So you've got basically all of today, all of tomorrow to kind of explore the city in any way you guys might want to, because I know at least two of you have never really, well, I know Theo last was here about 3-4 years ago. Felix may or may not, you might have come through here once or twice, but Finn, I know you've never been this far north, so Marishane is entirely new to you.
A true southerner.
Finn suddenly goes from like, oh, okay, yeah, it's fun to be around. It's like, well, I've never been this far north before.
Oh God, no.
Felix and Theodos are so well traveled, and Finian's just like,
I'm well traveled in my mind.
in my brain space.
It's like I have gone so many places in my mind.
Yes.
Books are a portal to other places.
He has so many OCs. My original character, Bob. He's been to Marishane.
Original character, do not steal.
Do not steal.
But what would you guys like to do?
Don't we have like some other cool missions we could do? Like Finn's feeling pretty good. We just went in and killed some zombies.
There was from Grynan, the dwarf. He was offering 150 gold for clearing his name of a crime he didn't commit. But that was really the only other thing that you saw on the notice board, unless you'd like to go back.
Finn's feeling like he's just in a new city. He made some money. He's like, this is great. I want to do more. So he's either like we either go. He's itching for more shit, so he wants to do more.
I kind of want a shopping day, but
I mean, we can do. I mean, we can start with shopping, because there's a couple of different places you could go there, and then see what pops up. Because the only other thing you would have, at least the only other known job you have, short of going back to the notice board, would be the thing about grinding the dwarf. But I leave that one up to you. What about you, Theo?
Theo, I have in my notes that she wants to go to the Royal Arcanum.
Okay.
Real bad, but I'm willing to do whatever the squad wants to do.
I will say, at least based on my character sheet, it looks like we did not rest after getting our asses whooped by zombies.
Oh.
So I would almost say no combat today. Maybe we do a different mission tomorrow when somebody has a chance to rest and get their spell slots back.
What's that like, having spell slots?
Finn's out here with his gun and his half casting, just like, yeah, I feel great. And then Felix is over here just like, I'm so tired.
I only have 1 second level spell slot left, so unless you want me fighting exclusively with cantrips, not today. Please.
I miss spell slots. It's
no,
so
you don't.
weird.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
No, I do. Everything makes sense when I have spell slots, and it tells me when I need a nap.
I miss being the punch wizard who just slapped things until they died.
Slap, slap, slappy, slap. And then had a really cool resurrection sword.
Yeah, I had a really cool sword, but I preferred to punch.
But if you need to resurrect somebody, you just stabbed them with it.
Ironically enough, at the time World of Warcraft Classic was coming out, Morgan basically got the equivalent of giving the Ranger Blessed Blade of the Windseeker as a stat stick, because everything else they did was fucking pointless.
I did love that you were like the heal monk. I slap you, you're healed.
Punch healer. Yeah.
Live! Slap. Get your shit together. Bitch. Slap.
Go back.
She rubs her hands together and it does like the defibrillator static between them.
Live, damn you! Live! I think about Emiria a lot.
All right, fine. We'll go take a nap. And then we'll do more missions.
Felix is like, thank you.
Finn is like full on, just like, I have discovered this part of the quest log that says side quests, and I'm about it.
He's a side quest junkie. He's just like me, for real.
We're the people that, like, as soon as those side quests start adding up, we're like, fuck the main storyline. I don't need the plot. I need to know what Bran the baker was doing last Tuesday and if he needs my help.
I mean, I like to pretend that I am a side quest junkie, but I remember I was playing Outer Worlds, which is an amazing game, and you should all definitely play it. But the moment that, like, because I got my first companion, got out of the starting zone, and then the first side quest I'm given by my companion is like after we meet the leader of the big like hub world, is our companion is basically like, oh my god, she's so pretty and like it's amazing and blah blah blah, and it's a lesbian asexual love story, and I was just like, I am fuck Morgan the main quest.
You have piqued Morgan's interest. I don't
care anymore. I need to get these two awkward lesbians together, and I spent 7 hours just playing this one side story.
Me for real.
Morgan's like, what's this game again?
It's called The Outer Worlds.
I saw Morgan's face, and Morgan was like, hello?
Yes.
I love that we've been now recording for probably 10 minutes, and we've done absolutely nothing. Look,
this is the us talk about random shit show with some D&D.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, this part is not getting cut simply because we've technically started the show, so this part will not be cut. Basically, everyone go play The Outer Worlds. It's an amazing game, and if you have Game Pass, it's free.
Welcome to my Outer Worlds podcast.
Not sponsored at all. Game Pass, sponsor us. We need money.
Please, actually.
Sponsor our 10 listener podcast.
That's not
Shut
true.
up.
We have
all right. So what do you guys want to? So what do you guys want to go do?
Theo definitely wants to go to the Royal Arcanum, even if she's potentially already been there before.
I mean, it's been a couple years. They might have gotten new books.
Yeah, they might have gotten new books. I just have in my notes Royal Arcanum, and then in parentheses, in all capital letters, go here, go here, go here, go here.
Well,
Wow.
the
You're passionate
Royal
in your notes.
The Royal Arcanum has the largest collection of magic and dragon knowledge in Odos.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that's why it's in all caps and bolded.
I have in my extra notes. I have free to the public. Probably been there. Lots of magic and dragon knowledge.
So okay, Theo's definitely gonna go to the Royal Arcanum at some point, but I believe Felix, you had wanted to do a little shopping.
Ooh.
I don't know why this just came back to me, but I do have a bone to pick with you. This dates this recording session, but the episode that we just released is when we were asking questions to the Everyman. And I asked you explicitly, my question is, what was it that cursed me? And you told me literally everything but the what. And like, obviously we can't retcon that, and the conversation went great anyway, but I just noticed that on re-listening to it, is you gave me a lot of information. None of it was the thing that I asked.
Yeah. But all
That's
of it was
like-
true. But all of it was the truth. And that's the trick.
That's like mine, where I asked, how do you get to the top of the Wormseeker Fortress?
He gave you the answer.
Friendship!
Yeah.
It's nothing.
We're
See,
in a
here-
fucking shonen jump manga, bitch.
Friendship with who, though?
Friendship is always the answer. I fight for my friends.
well,
That's my Nindo. That's my ninja way.
I will put you on a fucking spike.
Oh, that didn't pick up. I said believe it, but I whispered it.
Oh.
Believe it.
Daddy Bio.
Jesus.
Well, Finn also likes books, so
All right. I mean,
I guess
Finn,
we can go to
Finn
the library
Finn
first.
is
Ugh.
a
I
fucking
want to
nerd.
spend my
That is
vacation
true.
at the library.
It's like Finn is Finn is the equivalent of I'm an engineer. I just got out of school.
Oh my god. He just like Morgan for real.
Yeah, just shit on the STEM kid. I see how it is.
I mean, it's so easy.
For listeners back home, Morgan made a face.
I really do need to keep a track. I did say, like, shit on the STEM kid. I have also alienated every other STEM field because, like, in our podcast so far, I think I have said fuck physicists,
Fuck
fuck
the
biologists,
fuck the
fuck
English.
biochemists. I've also said fuck the English, but that is not a STEM major, my dear.
Okay, I'll give you that.
So I guess I just need to work on
The
engineers and mathematicians next in terms of like who else I am telling like to fuck right off.
It's like my
Because
science
chemistry is the
better than
only
y-
field.
My
There's
science is
only-
better than your science.
There's
Yeah.
only one science, and that science is chemistry.
I'm putting
Alright.
biologists in a locker and being like, your science is too big. You would be nothing without chemistry.
Biochem. Aha! Fools.
All
Yeah.
right.
You'd be nothing without us.
So you guys make your way out of the temple district.
All bloodied and covered in
uh,
zombie guts.
I mean, certainly roughed up a bit, but
Felix
yeah.
exploded someone's head, so
No, this head didn't explode. The head popped off and fell off.
I'm having
Like-
bad luck with
Oh, yes.
heads as of recently.
is this like the Adventure Time where it's foreshadowing? You know how
No,
they
I-
foreshadowed Finn's arm coming off?
No, that's
My
not.
arm's not coming off. I know what you mean.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's
Someone
like yes,
got it.
someone
Someone else
head,
has seen Adventure Time.
someone's head is getting removed.
Me and Alex are the only ones who have seen Adventure Time, I guess, in its whole.
You guys are able to make your way out of the temple district. The
They
middle,
foreshadowed Finn's arm
the-
coming off.
the arcane district. The arcane district is about maybe a 20 or so minutes walk, or at least the entrance to it is about a 20 or so minutes walk from the temple district. Along your walk, as you kind of cut through the edge of the forest district, you see some of you actually come across one of the landmarks of the city. It's known as the World Breaker Gate. And it is there used to be a settlement that was here, where Marishane now stands, many hundreds of years ago, back before the meteor fell upon Amoth to kind of break and destroy and set the world up as it is now. And when building Marishane after the war, this large piece of gate was able to be kind of harvested and used. And so it's a very colorful piece and very intricate piece of both architecture and art. If you can imagine, like a little bit like the Arc de Triomphe in France, imagine like kind of like half of that, but the pillars are like almost like a terracotta, like red, and then emblazoned on it in like faded copper and golds and things. You see like you see one half of a dragon sort of like raising up on its like back legs, its claws sort of pushing outward. Like if you saw the other side, it would be like two dragons kind of forming a gate almost, but only half of it still remains. And it's one of the, I guess in this world it would be considered one of the like 8 wonders of the ancient world, but it's like it's all that's really left of it. You make your way past that, as going that way would lead you down towards...
Wait. Before we get too far.
Yes.
Is the dragon that remains, is it clearly Chroma or Metalis?
It is clearly Metalis. It is it's a sapphire blue dragon. There's chunks of there's bits and chunks missing. Like some of her wings are kind of cut off. But yeah, it's very clearly an effigy of Metalis. Finn, did you have a question? Sorry, I thought I saw you like raise your finger, and I wasn't sure if that was you adjusting your mic stand or asking a question.
Sorry,
no worries.
It was also yeah.
There
we go.
Yeah, going through the World Breaker Gates, that would lead you more towards the High District and the Palace District. It's kind of like the welcoming arch to kind of like get you set up for the splendor that is the Crystal Rose District. But you guys make your way past. About 20 or so minutes later, you arrive at the middle Arcane District gate. There is a large sort of almost like a clockwork knot that kind of is emblazoned at the top of the gate, and you notice as you get closer, it is a clock, and it's sort of like ticks away throughout the day.
As clocks are wont to do.
It'd be very cool if this clock did something entirely different.
I mean, it could do other things. You just don't know yet.
It's like a cell phone.
You guys make your way through. This would be where you would be. This is one of the places you'd be able to do some shopping. It's more higher end stores, so like slightly more expensive things, stuff like that. It's also where all of like the more, if there was such a thing as a big box magic store, like this would be where it is. The smaller sort of mom and pop style shops or like more niche magic shops are in the lower crafting district.
Yeah.
Would you guys the Royal Arcanum is the largest building sort of dominating the skyscape. So there's a multitude of little side streets and like there's several larger, like couple like maybe 2-3 story buildings. This thing is like a cathedral rising out of like a small town. Like, have you ever seen like old medieval towns where it's like all of like the little villages and stuff, and then there's Notre Dame in the middle of medieval Paris. So there's famously with the Royal Arcanum, because it is both a college and a library, there are 7 spires that are known as the 7 Lights of Knowledge. And they represent some, no one really knows what they're supposed to represent, because there's a bunch of different interpretations. Some say they represent schools of magic. Some say they represent the original 7 founders of the Worm Speakers. Some say they represent the 7, like what is believed to be the 7 core tenets that the dragons were given at the start. Its meaning has been lost for so long that it's its own. It has its own story, as much as its own sort of title.
Would Theodosia have a belief of what they represent personally, like from what her mother had told her?
Your mother didn't put much faith in stories and myth, so she always viewed them rather cynically. She viewed them as like, your mother is very much an opiate for the masses kind of person. Like, what can I see? What can I touch? What is real? What is physical? Because I think because the number of times she herself has been burned.
Mm-hmm.
So she looks at them as just like, she looks at this as like, her old joke would be, seven lights to lead the sheep to slaughter, was a joke she would make.
Your mom sucks.
Very cynical.
I know.
So she's very cynical about she's very cynical about the new world and the new age that has been going on for a while. But yeah, you guys, if you're not going to make any side stops or anything like that, you guys make your way up to the Arcanum, and the doors are open, as the doors remain open at all times during the day. You make your way into the main vestibule, and I mean, Theo, you've been here before, so you would know where to get to the library itself. But for Finn and Felix, a large, almost amphitheater-like space opens up in front of you. Beautiful pillars decorated with different bits of art from a variety of different cultures. There's, you see Orcish runes alongside Elven script. There's a Dwarven sort of mural or mosaic up one of them. And there's another piece of beautiful art showing Metallus and Chroma circling each other up the pillar, and these are known as the pillars of the world. Each of them were at the end of the war placed here at the heart of this new school of magic as a representation of the world coming together, having defeated the dragons and found peace. That let this be a representation of, we came together, and a reminder of what we can do together as well. If you were to head straight ahead, that would lead you more to the college. Off to the right is the path to the library and the actual sort of knowledge base area. It's just a library. I don't know why I need to over-explain that. A library is a library. And then to the left is
computers.
And to the left is like the dorms and the living quarters of like actual students or faculty, things like that.
Oh yeah, let's go have a raid.
Let's go
find the frats. New plot. We apply for college.
God, no, not again.
Feel it.
Morgan's like, please no. I was a STEM major. Please no.
It's like
I can't go back, man.
Finian, I think you are, because the school you went to was beautiful. It was like brand new, and again, like artificing and like that sort of stuff is like both new and old magic. So it's like it had a very modern feel to it. So it's like this is a not necessarily a culture shock. Like you've seen pictures and you've seen like you've seen artistic representations of like these things, but like to actually stand amongst like old world, and more importantly like pre-World Breaker architecture is kind of like a little like moment for you of like, you come from the new world, here's the bones of society, sort of.
It's kind of like going to like ancient Greece and seeing like the
Exactly.
Parthenon, but except it's not as run down. It's like built almost that they built like a new one on top of it, and not a new one, but use the original structure, and it was just better and more fantastical or something.
The Parthenon, it's pretty run down. They're working on rebuilding it right now.
Yeah.
What I'm
It's
thinking
like-
of, I'm thinking of like
I've
just
been
like the
working
main,
on.
like the big, like the main buildings and stuff like that, where like the architecture would still be there, and it's still like magnificent and really cool, but there's a whole new structure built around it on top of it in it, so it's like part of it, but also not like.
It'd be like if they rebuilt like a Parthenon to like a larger scale that was the same as it would have been back in the day, and within that Parthenon is the original Parthenon, so you can see like, here is what to give an idea of like.
They
to
built
give
a
it-
larger Parthenon.
I kind of know
around
what
the
you mean.
Parthenon.
Like
Yeah,
it's like old world
Chic.
like
Isn't
chic,
it-
but it's got like, obviously, you know, it's not run down. It's like in its prime almost, but like not at the same time, because it's still from the old world, but it's not. I'm trying to figure out how to describe this in my brain, like the way that it sounds like.
It's architectural nostalgia almost.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's just
it's-
very cool and fantastic and awesome.
It's like there's another place in Greece. It's like the oldest castle. The oldest. Me. Yes, I know, Morgan. You can. There's another place in Greece where a guy got really horny for Greek culture, an English guy, because
whatever,
and he
I mean,
decided
that's what the
to try
English
to
do.
rebuild Minos's castle. And he's like, this is what it looked like, and really he just kind of fucked up the architecture of everything at the site.
Mhm.
That sounds about English.
That sounds
right?
very English.
Yeah, but that's what
Um,
I'm thinking of right now, where they were
If
like,
you're
"Look,"
English and
but
listening
he
to the
was like,
show,
"Look,
I'm
I've
sorry.
rebuilt
No,
it." And everyone's like,
Obviously-
You.
and everyone's like,
obviously-
dude, you made it out of concrete. You made it
It's
out of
like-
concrete, you motherfucker.
Like, it's like, listen, to all of our English listeners, and we know that you're out there, we love you, but you know what you fucking did.
You know what you did.
You know
You know
what
what
your
you're-
people. You know what your people did.
I mean, we're Americans.
biggest
We also
ex-
know what our
your-
people did, but
yes, but listen, America's biggest export is a largely differently problematic thing. Britain's biggest export is racism and Independence Days. Like, we're not dunking on them for shit they haven't done.
do you guys know that Canada didn't officially get freedom until like the 1980s?
Yeah.
I want to know what notes Morgan's writing, because Morgan looks very intent on what they're doing right now.
Everybody get freedom from England.
Yeah, it's like, if you didn't get, it's like, I'm pretty sure that if you didn't get freedom from England, you can like turn in a coupon and like just get a free Independence Day.
Get a free freedom. One
all
free
have-
freedom.
It's
One
the
free
Independence Day. It's the Independence Day punch cards. If you didn't get freedom from England, if you turn in a punch card, you can redeem it for one free Independence Day.
Jesus Christ. Remember when we were playing D&D like an hour ago? Can we get
Yeah.
back to that?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Morgan is the reason we stay on track.
But yeah, so you guys stand in this lobby, sitting at the desk. It's a bit like if anyone's ever been to a college, kind of like and walk into the student center, they've got like that sort of like welcome desk with a couple of people there. And there is an elf, a dwarf, and a what looks to be a trident, a fish person, sitting at
A
the
Triton?
Triton. Yes, a Triton. Sitting at the
I thought
desk.
you were like, there's a literal Triton. Like,
No,
A trident.
my-
The weapon?
Yeah,
Literal
there's a weapon
King
just standing
Triton
there
is
with
sitting at
arms.
the welcome desk.
yes,
With
yes,
arms,
and-
like, hello?
yes.
You need me to
and
stab
and
somebody.
King Trident from the Little Mermaid is also there. No, and a
King knife.
Triton. Yeah, and a Triton is sitting there. They are they appear to be sort of salmon colored. So there's like a little bit of like that like speckling you get with salmon kind of running down their neck and along the side of their head. The dwarf dwarf. It's a female dwarf. She has very dark, almost terracotta-like skin color.
Very important question. Are they a MILF?
She is young. She's young for a dwarf. Probably only about 150 to maybe 200 years old at this point. She is choosing, even in the heavy summer heat, she's choosing to wear a beard at this point. It's well
Good for her.
trimmed.
Queen.
Well trimmed, a little bit shorter because of the heat, so it doesn't have any of the intricate braids, but she has kind of compensated for that by having a very elaborate sort of almost like braided updo that has various little bits of crystal speckled throughout. And the elf is
And I demand art of the bearded lady.
And then the elf is wearing. The elf appears to be possibly a teacher or an instructor. They're wearing more of like a uniform sort of robes. They definitely appear older. Definitely like at adulthood for an elf. So like in their like 300s to 400s at this point. Maybe even 500-ish years old there. They are chatting with the Triton and the dwarf. It looks like they're on the other side of the table, but it definitely, you kind of get a student-teacher vibe going on.
Is the dwarf like a student employee?
Yes, it appears as such.
Gotcha.
Working on their masters.
Like that weird philosophy teacher I had. Do you remember that?
Right. So,
The one we met on the bus.
hello?
It's like
Finn looks up at the. I'm not sure how high the desk is compared to him, but
You can probably rest your chin on it, just like
the desk is you kind of your nose kind of comes to the edge of the desk, so like you're not really looking. I mean, you could look up, but it's like
I wasn't sure if it was one of those like big, tall, like judgy type desks, like they're
no.
all sitting up high, like ready, and like so I'm like they have to like look down to see me or something.
You're about as tall as the desk, a little bit taller than the desk, because you're like
I mean, a dwarf is working a desk,
so you're not super short. Yeah, and there's a dwarf working there. They have to be able to, like they don't want a step stool to climb into the chair they're sitting in. So, the Triton looks kind of like looks up from like a stack of papers they were reading, and then like the conversation you're hearing between the dwarf and the elf are like, they appear to be talking about like an upcoming test, and the dwarf is asking about like it sounds like office hours and like being able to get some extra studying. And the Triton looks at you. It's like, oh, hello there. How can I help you, Mr.
Felbrook. Finian Felbrook's the name.
Do you prefer Mr. Fairbrook or a first name?
Finn's good for me.
All right, Finn. How can I?
Hi, and these are my friends. He kind of points.
The Triton like acknowledges both of them, kind of does like a little bow. It's like, how might I assist you?
Kind of looks over at you, Theo.
I was here a few years ago. Are there any? Has there been any changes to where the dragon books kept, where mythology or knowledge, and
I mean,
or even additions? I've been here before. Any new book that have come in, or is everything still organized?
There has been some changes to the collection. The Emperor and several of the council members have checked out several of the more intensive books for research.
Why?
Their own personal projects, I would assume. Most of the Forbidden collection is still behind requiring study pass or decree to be able to access from a patron. But several books from the collection have entered more of the general knowledge. So there's been some shifts and changes over the last couple of years. Is there a particular bit of information or knowledge that you're looking for? I might be able to better assist you there.
Particularly. Perhaps
Oh,
I
actually,
would need
I-
to create. Oh, so go.
sorry.
Go ahead.
No, oh, how would one obviously I actually went to college down south, and I don't know. It does sound quite interesting. With you said, how would one get permission from a patron that does for the
Can I just cut
restricted
in
area?
super quick? This morning I got groceries really quick and there was a man wearing a shirt that just said college across the chest. And I'm imagining that's Finn right now, just like, yes, I went to college.
What's funny is like there's the vine of Dad, they've got the Kush or whatever. It's like
Oh, that's
this
the
is-
shirt he's wearing in that video.
Yeah,
isn't
in
it?
that
He's
video,
trying to
the
be-
man is
he's
wearing
trying to
a
be
shirt
like,
that just says college.
He's trying to be like, look, I'm not trying to get. I like knowledge. How does one get access to the restricted knowledge?
forbidden knowledge.
Hello, fellow academics.
Yes.
Morgan walking into any room.
It's like,
Hello, fellow scientists.
Let us talk about chemicals.
The Triton looks at you, and you notice on their name tag, it reads
Bob.
Zervis, Zurvus, Zervis,
Service.
C-U-R.
Zurvus.
Zervis. It sounds
Sounds like
funny.
you're saying service in a funny
That's-
voice.
Literally what I was gonna say. I was literally gonna say his name sounds like service.
That's not
Service.
Are you gonna service the service?
Zervis gives us service.
Zervis lives for
Customer
service.
service.
So
I am
dumb.
service. I live to serve.
We're so mean to this fish.
Just like all of that was canonical. It's just like here's.
He's just like
Like,
single
Roasting
tear.
This man to his face.
A single salty tear.
No, Zervis looks at
No,
Zervis.
he's a
looks at you,
salmon
it's
man.
like-
He lives in freshwater.
He sometimes lives in
Salmon live in
freshwater.
both.
Let Zach speak.
No.
Let Zervis talk. I need to know.
Zervis looks at you. It's like, well, there's several ways. Of course, if you are a student here and are working on a particular project for example, a doctorate or a master's degree or something of that nature, you're, of course, welcome to work with one of the professors to receive a pass. If, for example, you are working with one of the major factions within the city, for example, if you're working with a member of the council or the king or the emperor themselves, they, of course, can give you a royal seal that will allow you access to some of the more restricted tomes that are not for general consumption. There's also the Brotherhood of Dalar has a program that allows, dependent upon the mission or what needs to be worked upon, they have the ability to look at some of our more older and somewhat darker texts. So it really kind of depends on what particular knowledge you're looking for.
Well, one, we are actually working for the Company of Dalar. We are actually working with them, and we do believe that this sort of knowledge would assist in the mission they have provided for us. We'll be actually meeting with what was his name? Boros? High Lord Boros in a couple of days, and we would like to be more knowledgeable on what he will be providing for us.
Zervis looks at you and says, "Oh, that's very exciting. So you then have your paperwork in order."
Do one of you two have the paperwork? Do we have paperwork?
I don't think we
haven't
have
actually
paperwork.
seen him yet, so I would say no.
Not yet.
Ah,
We're
well-
meeting with him in a few days.
Well, when you do meet with him, just make sure you request the appropriate paperwork and seal of the High Lord. And when you return here, we can open up any of the restricted sections that the company does have access to. Of course, you will of course be under the normal surveillance requirements of the Arcanum. So we will, and he kind of like snaps his fingers, and like a book in front of him opens, and you see like a little like glass like dome sort of appear. since you were last here, we have greatly improved the comfortability of the privacy pods for studying any of the ancient and more esoteric and dangerous books we have.
What about this? And Theodosia's gonna pull out, I guess essentially a form of identification, and it's clearly folded in, something she doesn't pull out very often. And she's going to slide that over. She has no idea if this is gonna work.
Okay.
But it's essentially her identification as a liqueur,
Okay.
and who
As
her
a liquor?
yeah, as a liquor.
Can
She
you spell that?
Her last
Sorry.
name is
Are you
name
on
is
the sweet?
liqueur.
Are you on the sweeter side of the liqueurs or the?
Can you spell that just for my notes' sake, and so I don't write liquor?
LA space COUR. Liqueur.
Okay.
It means, like, I think in French, I think it literally means the court.
Like, fuck French.
I know. Well, no, wait. No, they gave us the Statue of Liberty that one time. They cut off people's heads. That's pretty cool.
they did have that one cool bit from like
That
17.
cool bit where they were just cutting off people's heads willy-nilly. That was pretty neat. I
Kinda
liked
cool.
that. I thought that was cool. And who her parent is, and her parent's status. Would that have any sway?
Roll me a persuasion check.
Ooh. How's my persuasion? Oh, I actually have pretty good persuasion. Hold on, let me get my cool dice. Let me get Theodosia's dice.
Yeah. Roll with the proper
Theodosia's
dice.
dice actually likes me. Come on, give me something good. 16.
16. He looks at this, looks at you, looks back at this, kind of looks at the professor and the and then and the dwarf over there is like, come with me, please. Zervis looks at you and it's like, it's been a while since we've received a request from any military sources, especially her her high generalship. But
Yes.
is
And
there
I would request that this is kept private because her high generalship is working on a very serious inquiry at the moment. She does not wish for this to be spread about, so to speak.
I of course we've always respect the privacy of her ladyship, but you do know, and he kind of like looks back, but you do know that there are channels involved and prerogatives and requirements to sort of back channel these sorts of things. Are you coming directly from her ladyship?
Of course. I'm her daughter.
Please roll me a deception check.
I'm not lying. I am her daughter.
You are her daughter. You're lying about everything else, though.
I am lying about everything else. Yes, this is true. I am a fucking liar in that regard. I'm not lying about being your kid, though. Okay, come on, dice. Please like me. I have only +1 to deception. I really. Hey, Bard, you wanna? Hey, damn you! Fuck off.
I don't
Yeah.
know you're lying.
That's true. He doesn't know. We have hand signals. I am lying. Please.
Help me.
Help me.
Even if
I do.
did,
I
why
do
would
though. I do though, as my backstory, not my backstory, my background as a sage. When you attempt to learn or recall, please learn. Usually, if this information comes from a library, from a university, a sage, learn person. Your DM
This
might
is not relevant to your deception.
Damn it! I was hoping that it would say that they'll let me inside. I was hoping that my background would say, "You're a sage. Go anywhere. They'll let you in. They'll let you read their books."
Even if your your background did say that, I don't think Zach would like. Yep, sounds good.
14.
14. All right.
Fuck you, Bard, for not helping me.
14.
You could.
I don't know.
You could give me advantage or something. You could just slide in and be like,
He
I'm so pretty.
No.
Zervis looks at you and says, "Come back after nightfall, and I will see what I can gain access to. But it cannot be now. There's too many people."
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You did mention students and like permission from faculty and other things. I did mention like before, like I did study down south. If I could get a recommendation or permit, or do you have any? Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Do you have any connections with the faculty from down south, and would a recommendation from any of them grant me access to any things that normally wouldn't be accessible? Obviously, you know.
Certainly some of the texts in the more forbidden areas of the library would be opened up to you, but there's a variety of texts we keep here. We are a repository of knowledge, and that means that there are levels of access. Any student or faculty member and any member of the public may access any of the level 1 and most of the level 2 items.
Hold on, you can be sure I'll be reading all of them, but I just, because actually, just cut to the chase. Do any of you happen to know a Professor Myers?
Taking notes.
I am recently transferred from the college in Covenheim, so unfortunately I'm unaware of most of the Southern University's professors. If you could elaborate.
Short. He like me, but he's a gnome, a very old fellow. Long,
Is he the one who
long gray beard. Could you? Sorry, say that again.
Is he the one who always blows himself up?
Not all the time.
Yes. No, I've heard of Boom Boom Myers. Yes.
I'm putting this in the notes. Boom.
Doesn't-
Boom. Myers.
You know he doesn't. If a nickname fit.
Not about.
How long is it, Finn? How long has it been since you were last at the university?
Oh my God, is Boom Boom Myers dead?
I only left like 6 months ago.
Yes. Unfortunately, Professor Myers is, well, he should be just out of hospital at the moment. But he did unintentionally. I'm not trying to be rude, but he did unintentionally boom the research lab that was there, and they are in the process of rebuilding it. So, while absolutely a letter from him, a letter from him will certainly give you access to some of the level 3 items.
Morgan is dying.
Fortunately, since it is
The
more
readers
of an
the listeners back home.
engineering school and more technical magics, most of the books here are not really designed in that way. It's more history and older knowledge. You would be better equipped, actually, going back to
That's
this.
actually what I'm trying to look for, is research into more explosives and things that of before the World Breaker. And so I feel like this is the place I would be able to research that. I understand like some of that isn't all, it's not technical, but just mentions and first-hand accounts of things that they had back then that we don't have now would be very helpful.
Tell you what, if you can get yourself a letter from Professor Myers, we can have that discussion when we have that research project requested. But as for now, if you guys would like to explore or look about the things open to the public, and then our dinner party a little later, we can possibly discuss what other things you might be able to access.
Fantastic. I don't know about you two, but I've got a book, or many books I would like to put my nose in, so I will see you both later. And he just scurries off, because he's pretty good about working his way around a library.
All right. So you guys have the option of, if you'd like to, because you would have to come back in the evening to access any of the more forbidden texts.
Theo's definitely going to be going to any books that are new,
Okay.
that she can access at the moment.
All right.
Morgan, you good? What was that?
I'm going outside and I'm busking on the street because fuck you guys, this is boring. That's Felix, not me.
Felix can't read. Felix can't read. He can't write his name and he can't read. I recently also re-listened to the episode, and in my notes.
And like I said that time, I'm not illiterate, asshole.
Where in my notes it said like Felix can't write his own name, probably illiterate.
All right. So,
Can you read this?
Yeah.
Morgan just flipped Hannah off for all the listeners.
I'm like, fat finger. Yum yum.
All
Felix
right.
can't read.
So,
Hermione can't spell.
Draw.
Damn it. I've been
So,
to school.
we'll start with Felix first, because this will be the easiest. Felix, you
Thank
head
you.
out.
Also
outside.
notice that Finn didn't really even flinch at the fact that Mr. Myers is in the hospital. He's just like,
Yeah.
oh, that happens all the time.
Sounds about right.
It's like he only blew up the lab once in the last 6 months. He's getting old. The man's slowing down.
That's
Good
poor
God.
form.
It took that long?
Felix, you head out onto the street. You set yourself up.
He's just
Where are you going to go?
twerking.
Are you going out front of the Arcanum? Are you going more towards the
Yeah.
gate? Where are you thinking?
I don't need to be that far. I'll stay close.
Roll me 3 performance checks.
First fucking one was a natural one.
Oh no.
He trips over a bug.
Alright.
Then Cosmo tripped over a bug.
And then 18 and then 27. Natural
Okay.
1, 18, 27. Start real bad, finish strong.
You step outside and you kind of give yourself a couple of practice strums, and just as you're about to take your first strum and start singing, you break a string.
Figured.
So you then have to you stop, you repair for a little bit. A couple of people are like, it's a moment of embarrassment.
Right outside the Royal
Yield
Arcanum.
Nelson walks by as you break the string and no.
Yeah. And so you set yourself up. I'll say the time frame here is you play for maybe it's 2 hours or so that you guys will spend researching and doing things. In those 2 hours, let's see. You get 15 gold in terms of your songs. Is there anything in particular you do that you play?
Just the crowd favorites.
Okay.
Trying to think of a Dragon Age song.
In the
One.
ancient times, there was a man who knew the road, and the writing was written on the stone. No.
See, I was about to go, Trogdor was a man. Well, Dragon Man.
I figured that
But he was
someone
also
was
a meh. He was a dragon. He was a
Some-
tractor.
point,
Burninating all the people.
at some point someone in the crowd yells out, "Play Barrier of Wonder!"
And you're like, anyway.
Play
anyway, here's Wonderwall.
Freebird!
Anyway, here's Wonderwall.
Anyway, here's Barrier of Wonder. and then
That's
it's
Hannah. That's the
just
joke. Is Wonderwall.
I know.
Yeah.
I just
Barrier of
wanted to say
wonder.
the word.
All right, so Finn and Theo. I will ask first and foremost, what are you particularly looking for? Like, what piece of knowledge are you searching for? Theo, you had already said like new books on dragons, if
Yeah.
they have got any.
Yeah.
Finn,
Theo's-
what are you looking for?
Because he's still trying to like, because he's made a pretty large breakthrough in what he already has, and I think he's trying to more or less do research on, I guess in a way to put it for like, is what they were used for, did they become because he's trying to figure out like what to do with it. He's like, so he's almost looking at like, in a sense of, did they become a problem? Like, how were they seen in history? Like, kind of almost like now, how like we have guns and we have a lot of gun violence, or we have a lot of things, or people have put restrictions on them, or stuff like that. So he's like, I have this thing. Is it something I should release to the public, or something that I should, release this knowledge, or should I keep it to myself, or should I, what should I do with it? So he's trying to look into history and almost try to see when people had these, and did it become a problem for society, or was it something that made it better?
Okay. You would be looking more at like, you'd be looking at more historical texts on the war itself, and like, you're looking for really dry stuff, because a lot of this is going to be extrapolating from like lists of like equipment and like what was available and like, so that sort of thing. So it's like you can, because
They have even do they have like history of, like what, like, how we have like history of we have now, like the advancement of like when guns were invented, how how that progressed throughout history, or is that way
Yes,
too far back
no.
that there may not even be texts surviving of when
So
these were first invented?
it's a lot of a lot of the knowledge that would have existed was also destroyed in the war. So to give you like the full picture, that
So
knowledge certainly existed, because the ability to construct them on a large scale still exists, and they are still usable and powerful. So like, as you guys were coming into the city, you saw like these large like arcane cannons sort of on the walls, and those were developed from before the world breaker technology, and that was sort of like reverse engineered and jerry rigged to work here. So even the technology you have now is still somewhat jerry rigged from stuff that is like pre golden age. So in terms of like, there's history about it, and there would have existed a record on like how to do these things, but like the biggest, because like if you're trying to figure out like moral implications, or like
I'm more of looking towards like the like the cultural and moral implications of like, not necessarily looking on how to construct. That's why I'm not looking into the technical aspects of it. I'm more of looking into history and trying to see how did this affect the world? Like, did it make it better? Did people having a cannon that they could wield in their hands make society a better place or a worse place? And that's kind of like what he's trying to decide for himself, so he knows what to do with his invention, or at least
you
what.
know if he likes the Second Amendment or not.
Yeah.
you would be looking for is analysis of.
It's more of like I would be doing the analysis. I'm just looking for historical records of maybe when these things existed. Maybe not looking for things talking about what I'm talking about specifically, but just talk like because if you're looking up, it would be almost like just looking up historical records of when these things existed and trying to find whether like stories or things, or finding out like, oh, there was a public uprising or something like that, or there was this, or crime rates or other things. Like he's really diving into like more of the and that would be dry. That would be very dry, and it's almost like he almost like doesn't even know what he's looking for. He's just trying to find.
Your question's very anthropological, and the issue is
Yes,
that
it's like anthropology.
So here's the issue: is that you've got, and you would know this, but like the issue you're running up against is that there was basically.
And that's fine. You're able. I'm just trying to clarify the information I'm looking for. Don't tell me what exists and what doesn't. Just tell me what I find. Well, and because I'm going to use that to kind of shape his view of what he can do.
Yeah,
Don't explain what would be, what isn't. Just let me know what I find.
I'm simply explaining a timeline to you, because this would also inform what you're looking for. Because you would be aware that in terms of the historical record of this world, there was like the 100 to 150 years of peace, and then the first Dragon War kicked off. And then the gods sent a big fuck off rock to blow up the earth. And then there was like 50 more years of peace, but that's post-apocalypse peace. And then another war started. And now you're just in your first century of peace. So like the last 100 years of recorded history, pretty solidly recorded. A good chunk of the war, very solidly recorded. Anything that far back, which is when all of these were created and they would have been more proliferated, doesn't really exist.
Okay.
So in terms of what you would be looking for, the books you would be looking for are historical analysis of theoretical ideas. So like it'd be like reading the biography of, this is gonna annoy Morgan, it'd be like reading a biography on the concept of physics is kind of what you're looking for. Because you have to parse out, like, okay, is this a good or a bad thing? But I also need to kind of understand what even was this at the time. But you're trying to examine a concept that doesn't exist.
Yeah,
because
like, was it just a weapon of war, or were these things that people just had, and did it cause a problem? Like, were many crimes committed, and were they more easily committed because they had? He's a
little like analyzing the crime statistics of the Bronze Age collapse. Everything was going to shit, so like it's hard to parse out what was crime and what was an apocalypse. So I would say that there definitely exist these sorts of books that you could certainly try to look into and parse out, but a lot of this is gonna come, a lot of I think the questions you're asking are going to come from. The question you're asking is not unanswerable, but it requires more. I think it would require Finn to be able to answer this more than the books would. But you can I'll definitely let you look around and see what you can find.
That's fine.
Theo, what you were looking just for new books on dragons or something specific? Anna?
Sorry. I'm Theo's looking for anything newer because she's definitely been here before. She's definitely already scoured literally everything she could get her hands on before. So she's looking for anything new, though she might retrace if she feels like she might have missed something. Okay. I imagine she was not able to get into the forbidden stuff last time.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
So that might also be where you get a lot of your information, but Kimmy.
Yeah. She probably was not, with everything being so fresh, she probably was not willing to play the mommy card. Morgan gave me a look.
I just wasn't expecting the word mommy to be in that sentence, so it just kind of caught me off guard.
Is she your mother or your mommy? There's a difference.
Is there? I call my mother mommy. I call Melody mommy.
It's changed now.
Stop it, because I call both my parents mommy and daddy sometimes, so people need to fucking stop. I'm not kink shaming. I'm just, don't bring this shit into my referring to my parents' stuff.
I'm just giving you shit, Hannah.
I'm talking to our viewers.
All right. So in
Although you
terms
cannot
of
have that.
okay, I would like both of you to roll me investigation checks, please.
I got you. Daniel, do you want to roll it? You can't. You want to? Django sniffed it.
She blesses it.
That is. Ooh, she did a good job. That's a 19 plus. What was it again?
Investigation.
Oh, it's a 19.
19, and then Finn.
I miss my high intelligence. Shut up, Bard.
Shut up, charisma.
Silence,
caster.
Bard.
Silence.
23.
23. Okay.
Be gone, thought.
I have a +7 to investigation.
Silence, artificer.
Silence, Brand.
I miss my high intelligence. I have a +0 to my intelligence.
I do
Karma
feel like
karma's
investigation should be like, it shouldn't be like necessarily an intelligence score, because you don't have to necessarily be, because there's like
What would it
plenty
be
of
then?
like smart to be like great at investigating. I feel like it's more of like something you gain through experience. I feel like it
You
would be
mean like
more like a
intelligence?
wisdom. No, like a wisdom score.
You mean how your intelligence increases the more experience you gain? Like that?
Well, no, your intelligence
He's got a
doesn't
point with
necessarily.
wisdom, to be quite fair.
I mean, it wouldn't
Yeah.
help me very much. I'd only get a +1.
Because
Oh, no.
like, I don't know. I feel like
Theodosia is strong, and that's about it.
like studying, like researching and reading, I feel like is one thing, but like investigating, like trying to like look for something or something like that, I feel like your experience and your wisdom almost like would help you find stuff easier, because you have either done it before, or because of things that you have done or read, you have figured out like, okay, this is, I don't know. I feel like it could be either or. Like you should be able to use wisdom, like for other checks, that should be able to use like wisdom or.
Well, this is also
intelligence.
why it's also the like, oh, good, you found the book. Roll me a wisdom check to see if you can fucking get it.
Ah, okay, yeah, there you go.
It's like that's why, because again, it's like you're just looking through a library right now, and looking through a library, being able to do good research. That I feel is strictly intelligence.
Yeah.
Do you comprehend the very in-depth treatise you just read on trade routes between the dwarves and the elves?
Can you put it together?
Yeah, can you put this together? Oh wait, no, I'm just an engineer.
Fair.
it's like excuse me, there are no sprockets or nuts. I don't understand. Okay, so we will start with Finn. You are able to find several very different sort of books. One is literally just a historical record of every artifact that has been found and cataloged and sort of like placed in like either a museum or has been studied in some way that comes from both before and after the World Breaker. So you have, within this book, you find, I think, part of what you're looking for, which is like, okay, where's the historical evidence for these sorts of devices? And you find most of it is in reference to the larger ones, the canons that you are more aware of. You read some stories of individual projects and things that are like diving into what you were trying to create in terms of your hand cannon. I would say the most striking thing you find among it is that just based on the number of artifacts that were found, it was not a commonplace thing. Either people in the past did not feel there was a need for these on a personal level, or it was just it never got to that stage before all the fighting broke out.
Okay.
The second text you find is more interesting because it is a analysis. It's a newer analysis of the war. It's a newer analysis of the war itself, and it speaks less in terms of what happened, and more in terms of it goes a lot into more of the why versus the what, and tries to analyze. It tries to analyze more ideals and machinations more than it does like on this date this happened, and it's more like why did this happen, what led up to this sort of thing. And the biggest sort of thing you take from there, I guess, because I'm answering a very abstract question with actual thing. I guess the biggest thing you take away from there is that as it became clearer and clearer that the war was starting to turn in the direction of mortality, or at least like when the first, because basically there was several false pieces, so like with each false piece, mortality as a whole became much more hardened in the way that they approached like the reality of the world. And so you get the sense that this analysis is kind of more aimed towards, do we have a need to more arm? Like, do we need to stay more armed and more individualized? But this is also, it feels like as the more and more you read this, the more and more it feels like a commentary of annoyance at like how there hasn't been anything like the war in 100 years. Like almost like new people, like people who are obsessed with like World War II, but they take all the wrong lessons from it. Like of just like, oh, that's when men were men and blah blah blah. It's like 20 million people died, like 40 million people died. This is not the thing to. So it
glorify,
it seems more of like a glorification of what was versus an attempt at actually analyzing what happened. So that one might be a little less useful for you.
And kind of gay. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
The final one you find is actually a diary, and it's a diary of a young child who was born who was born about 20 or so years before the end of the war, before the end of Tikal's Kirith. So they didn't get to see a lot of the fighting. They were actually born right after the death of the twins. So right when everyone thought the war was actually over, before the resurrection of Chroma into Chromatus. And so you read this diary, and it's an interesting sort of like look at like a hopeful piece. And then as you get further and further in, there's a distinct jump where it's like where it goes from like talking about mundane day-to-day things. It's like the first flower bloomed, and like, you know, crops are starting to grow again, and like that excitement of just life returning, to Chromatus has risen, like running smack dab into a massive historical event. It'd be like reading actually, the only metaphor I can think of, it'd be like reading somebody's diary on 9/10 and then reading their diary on 9/11. It's just that sort of jarring sort of jump. As they start to talk about, like, then there's fear and there's concern, like a dark god has now risen. It's been 10 years. We thought we were over this. Like, and so it gives you almost the opposite perspective. You had the glorification from like 1,000 feet of like, oh, you know, a time where we were actually all united and blah, 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 blah. And this is like, you know, when the world was truly set on a path of goodness. And then like, you go this day to day, and then there's like mundane, like the real fear of like not knowing what is coming next, not knowing, is tomorrow the day that a dragon god flies over and burns us all to death. And so you kind of get both sides of the coin of like glorification and the reality of living through that terror.
I think the next thing, when he does have like more access, he's gonna start and then like narrowing it. Like a search would be to try to find maybe a first-hand account or a diary of somebody who might have possessed one of, seeing as they weren't as common as I might have thought. Someone who might have possessed one themselves, like possessed one of the old hand cannons, and seeing maybe, or like a general or something who maybe acquired one or something, and maybe their description of it or how they thought it aided them or didn't, or something. I don't know, something to where someone talks about it specifically. But I do like that I have like an idea, like what you've given me is cool. Like I like it.
Theo.
Yeah.
Theo, there's not a lot of new stuff,
Mm.
unfortunately. But the one new book that you do find is a new biography. You had read the old one, but it is a new biography of Matthias Mercia, the first emperor. And you had read this one before. It was very it was good, but it was very much a top-down, like, oh, here's a historical record, and like, here's what we thought, and things like that. And the newest printing of it, it appears that in the last couple of years, they had actually found original writings from the first emperor, and these are things that predate his rule. There are plenty of writings from like when he was ruling and after the war and everything. These are writings from within his like time when he was Worm Speaker, and when he was like actively fighting during the war. And a lot of them are just like they seem to be kind of like dust jacket quotes. Like several of them are just kind of like so a couple of them are just sort of like rah, like, rally around the flag moments, because there were a lot of those. There are several like philosophical questions of like, it's like, what if we're truly the monsters at heart, sort of thing, because
Do you think God stays in heaven?
exactly.
Who is afraid of what he's created? Whoa, Spy
Exactly.
Kids, calm down.
Calm down, Steve Buscemi. We are all 12.
Just being a child, be like, whoa, I wasn't expecting to have a crisis while watching this film.
Let's be real, none of us processed it at that age. It's only
No.
looking back on it that we're like, whoa.
Whoa, whoa.
I'm the only
whoa,
person here who
Steve.
hasn't seen Spy Kids.
Oh, you need to fix that. They're good.
Yeah,
Huh?
they're so good.
Okay.
They still hold up. Don't
They're
watch the
good
third
for a
one.
kids movie.
Exactly.
Don't watch the third one. Don't watch Spy
Just
Kids.
one and
You
two.
watch one and
Don't
two?
watch them
Okay.
kill
One and two.
Elijah Wood. Don't watch them just slaughter Elijah Wood after 5 seconds.
Yeah. And so there is one quote, however, that stands out to you, simply because there's one quote that stands out to you, Theo, and it's only because you were given this piece of information. And it is a quote of Matthias speaking after his final attempt to go to Wormspeaker Fortress and contact Dashgaram and the dragons that were still there at the time. And the quote is one where he is talking about his time there. And the quote, it speaks a little. Most of it is about like memories and things about growing up there and learning there, raising his dragon there. But the final bit of it strikes you, and that is, and the quote, the final bit of it reads, "I forgot that friendship is not what we do, but with whom we do it, and what we can return."
So he learned that friendship is friendship.
I mean, if that's what you want to take out of the quote.
Well, I mean, friendship is about friends, not
You
what
just
we
you
do.
just get the quote, Hannah. You have to decide what you
You're
Well, I
gonna
just-
have to. You
I
have to
forgot that
decipher it.
I forgot that friendship is not what we do, but with whom we do it and what we can return.
It's about who you're doing it with.
Yeah. I'm just like in my brain, Theo's like, well, duh, friendship's not about what you do. Obviously, it's friendship. Friendship is about the other person.
All right. I will say you guys go about your research for the next couple of hours. At this point, the library, about, I will say like 2 hours or so pass. At this point, the library, a little like a chime goes off, and
Do I need to return the
and a recorded voice kind of comes out of a crystal that's sort of floating above, like in a chandelier, and it says, "The library is now closed for public access. Please return. Please return in the afternoon hour after the students have had time to conduct their research. Thank you. And you watch as all the books that you guys had, they kind of gently close themselves and start floating back to the shelves that they were at.
I like the idea that they fly away with their little.
They just, like,
The
You're like sitting there reading it. It's just like, no, come back.
I imagine Finian with his stacks of gun books, and then all of a sudden they'll just start flying away. He's like, no. He like grabs one and
there's just a tiny hobbit like chasing books through the library.
Like, I've never been here before. I've never seen this.
The books all kind of set themselves back. You can now kind of tell who is students and who aren't, because there are several people whose books stay put with them. And then you see like about like maybe
all of them look so tired and
they
so
all look
worn out.
exhausted.
They all look. They look like Morgan during their chem times, their school times.
The bags are so
Crying,
deep and so
sobbing,
blue under all of their eyes.
Asking someone else to write their emails.
Don't roast me.
But with that, the library is going to be closed for the next basically 4 to 5 hours for students to have their time to do their things. So this would be a perfect time for you guys to go shopping if you guys would like to do so, or you can look for other odd things around the city. But we'll get to that next episode. We'll get to that next time. Thank you all so much for joining us for another episode of Dances with Dice. Please follow us on all of our socials. And again, join the Discord if you'd like to hang out with more like-minded fans like yourself. And then join us every single Tuesday for new episodes of Dances with Dice.